Ahoy, hoy, cheeky monkeys. This is a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. That is honestly the first time I tried that intro, not the second. Tonight we have the Welsh wonder, Jason Davies. You all right, Jace?
You all right, pal? How's it going?
Oh, don't know. My Tassima machine has just broke.
Why don't you just boil the kettle, fella?
Boiling kettles? What do you think this is, the 1980s? I ain't having any of that nonsense. Like, I've got one of those bins where you've got batteries in it. You wave your hand above the bin, and then the bin opens up, and so the batteries have gone. So my mate Ren stood there the other day and just went, bin open, and then he shouted out, "What the fuck is this? 1980s?" Anyway, talking about people who swear too much, Strutter, you all right, mate?
I'm not going to swear once tonight.
Bullshit.
It'll probably be fucking 3 times.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Oh, terrible. Yeah, I've got
okay. Forget her.
The NHS have decided to give me a free physio for 1 hour once a week, so I'm milking every second I can get of that. 2 years I've been on the waiting list.
So some little nurse comes around and gives you a massage.
It's a bloke called Andy. Shamefully, it's not really what I wanted, but beggars can't be choosers. Yes. And finally, we got Shovell. Right, Shovell, how you doing?
How you doing, gentlemen? All good.
Good. Well, Gav managed to snare you from the pod, and when he said Shovell, I went, "Oh, I've seen him on TV, cheeky chappy, talking about football. Seen you a few times." And then he reminded me that you're a big part of a big band group.
Band group, orchestra. Yeah, well, I am. Yeah, I am. I still am. I'm still about. But obviously love music, love the drums, love the Arsenal, and here I am. Going to sprout forth upon the greatest football team that ever is.
We're not talking Man City, are we?
Oh, behave yourself. Come on. Behave yourself.
We're talking about that pre-pod, just saying that we're trying to get Gav to convince his little boy to support Man City.
No.
It's doing him a favour, Gav, in the long run.
He'll end up homeless, mate.
It's never going to happen.
Let's be honest, all his kids were knocked up to the junior gunners the day they were born.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
and rightly so.
Exactly, he's got no hope.
No,
rightly so.
You have to baptise them. I took Sean was at the my daughter, she's almost 20, and she was at the final game of the 98 season. She was there in her mum's belly. That was the middle of May. She was born at the end of May, and I took her to her first game when she was 3 months old. Just had her in the stadium. Just as soon as the game kicked off, got my mum to take her off back out to the car. You girl are a gooner. Deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's what it's all about. It's handed down like a golden goblet.
Yeah, unfortunately. Anyway, thanks for joining. There's got a few questions about you and your Arsenal memories. So,
okay, all right, fair enough.
When did you start supporting the Arsenal? I've put supporting. I don't know why I've done that. That's not right.
Oh, well, that one's an easy one. It was 1971. So I was 6 years old. I'm originally from South East London, so I was walking distance from Millwall, but whatever happened, I just remember I must have seen, obviously it was a double year, but I didn't know that when I was like 5, 6. But I remember seeing the kit, seeing the team in the newspapers. I loved the red and white. Made me dad go out and buy me the Arsenal kit, and I sat with him, watched the Wembley final, watched Charlie George slamming that magnificent winner, and that was it. The love affair began. So apart from me brother and my mum and dad's been my longest relationship ever.
Yeah, good. I mean, I think my first one I remember was probably the '87 League Cup final. I didn't know anybody was really into football. How about you, Gav? Because it's always nice to hear from fellow.
I was there at that '87 Cup final.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, my first memory was the 80 Cup final. 1980 Cup final, we lost to West Ham because I lived, I lived in an area which had quite a lot of West Ham supporters. So, literally on my little estate, everybody had a West Ham poster in their window or an Arsenal poster. There was quite a few Arsenal about, but it was like for every sort of 5 West Ham posters, there'd be one Arsenal poster. And I remember watching the 80 Cup final on the sat on the floor at my grandma and granddad's, and sat with my granddad watching it. We lost, I cried. He slapped me around the head and said, "Don't be a big girl's blouse." And honestly, and like I say, that was it. The only time I've ever cried when Arsenal lost. I cry when we win now.
Hey,
You don't cry that often, then.
No.
Jace, because I don't think I've ever asked you. How did you get into supporting the Mighty Gooners?
FA Cup final day, 78, Ipswich Town.
You're all
I
bloody
thought,
jinxes, the lot of you. You all need to stop it.
I cried like a baby, and it was that confusing thing when you're watching the pre-match build-up. You could see the Arsenal in red and white, and like everybody else, it's such a distinctive kit. Oh, I want them to win. Then they were playing in the yellow. Well, hold up here, what's going on? You're only a kid. And I remember that 80 final with Trevor fucking Brooking.
The only header in his life,
Yeah. I still hate Trevor fucking Brooking.
So do most of the West Ham fans are coming by last weekend.
I've got to say that. I've got to say actually that's like our life is funny. So there I am, 6 years old, watching Charlie George. That began my life. That celebration. It's just gone down, and every FA Cup final, any TV news about a cup final, that they show that Charlie George celebration. So cut to sort of 94, and I start getting asked to do a bit of celebrity stuff at the Arsenal and go upstairs and after dinner speak, and I start meeting Charlie George. And it was one of those moments, when I'm standing next to him, in my head, I'm going, Charlie George. And he turns, all right, Shovell, how's it going? He's like, he knows my name. Yeah. And I mean it, man. It was like, and even now, if I sit, it's a magnificent, amazing feeling that man started, I started a massive thing in my life, and he's still about, God bless him, and all those, you see Frank McLean, all that old school Arsenal, and anytime I see him, anytime there's a sort of, like, you can say it, legendary, magnificent players, it still really stirs the spirit in me. So yeah, it was a mad thing going. It was like a full circle. Never did I dream that I'd be even inside the Arsenal VIP bit, let alone standing next to Charlie George or Liam Brady or George Gray or anyone else. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've had some really, really magnificent, happy times with Arsenal, and some opposite times. But it's all part of being a supporter, isn't it?
So, do you think you would have any of those feelings of awe about any of the current squad in 20 years' time if you met any of those?
Well, maybe I'm a more of an older, cynical, grumpy git now. So, I mean, glorious players come from glorious times, glorious periods, winning cups. So, from this current squad, it would, to be honest, it would be hard to have them as, maybe as anyone, possibly Wilshere, because he's one of those youth players come up through the Arsenal, maybe knows a lot more about the Arsenal, because that's what it was about then, wasn't it? I feel you had a lot, as a fan, you had a lot more chance of understanding what the first team player was. There was less of a divide between a normal supporter and a professional footballer for your favourite team. Now there's a whole universe divide between a normal supporter and a player. So for me, it's hard to have a close affiliation with multi-millionaire, changing teams every other season, sometimes don't seem as though they don't care players. I know that's maybe a bit of a simplistic view, but that's it's hard to have. I mean, you get Sanchez, you fall in love with Sanchez, brilliant, and then quite soon after he wants to do the off-ski, and kind of you can't really blame him. But you become like, well, I'm not going to fall in love with any anymore because they're off, all that kissing the badge bit. No one hangs around, very rarely for 10 years. I mean, I know Walcott did, but it's a rare thing nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think my stuff would probably end with the maybe the 2004 team. So actually we should stop talking about us and just get on with more stuff about you. Sometimes we have this habit of forgetting it's a podcast and it's not just us lot sitting in a beer garden, you lot drinking beer and me eating crisps until I explode. Right, so your favourite game, your favourite goal, your favourite player and your favourite manager. You just wax lyrical and I shall sit back and rub my fat belly.
All right, so we've done 71, but that was a brilliant. So one of my favourite games, one of my favourite goals, Bertie me. I suppose the final, Man United 79. I don't know about my favourite manager. I mean, it was certainly an amazing day, an amazing cup final. You know, you could say preceding things to come, cruising at 2-0, 2-2, and then we don't nick it, but I suppose we did. We scored a glorious goal to win the final against Man United. Brady's goal at White Hart Lane. Winning the league at White Hart Lane, winning the league at Old Trafford. I've been there, saw that, felt that. The European final in Copenhagen, Palmer, Alan Smith, George Graham. I mean, to pick one of them is very hard, very difficult. And Henri, Bergkamp. I mean, this sounds mad, but being in Barnsley away in the away end and watching Bergkamp, so we were behind Bergkamp, and seeing him pick up the ball and curl it. It's just like, it was perfection. And the goal he scored at Newcastle there's been some amazing, brilliant moments. It's very, very difficult to pick a manager. I mean, that you can't be saying. Let's go for that. I'll tell you what. Let's go for that. I'll go for that. So Michael Thomas, Anfield, and George Wenger as the manager.
That could well be his middle name, George.
George Wenger. There you go.
I think you've managed to answer that brilliantly. So Highbury or the Emirates?
Oh, Highbury.
Yeah, had to ask it. If the kiddies are listening, Highbury was the true home of Arsenal, and the Emirates is a place where we go to make money. Finally, Wenger in or Wenger out, and at what point, if it is Wenger out, did you see? Oh, that's it. Time's come.
Okay, well, just to go back on that stadium thing, it's just it kind of relates to what I was saying about players of the current squad now. It kind of is a metaphor. Our stadium, what happened at the weekend with West Ham, which I predicted with one of my West Ham mates. Listen, when you move to that stadium, it's all going to change. You know, I think Tottenham's going to get it as well. It's just where we are right now. And Wenger, well, I hate to say a Wenger out, but I think let's just say it's time for Arsene Wenger to leave. But I am not a massive swearing, get him out, blah, blah, blah. I think it's time for him to leave. I think at the end of it all, he's a 70-year-old man who's given a lot of service to Arsenal. So it's time for him to leave. But I would ask him nicely, and I would hold the door open for him gently, rather than be horrible and swear at him and treat him anything. But I think he's peaked, and I think it is time for change. And I think the whole there's a hierarchy at Arsenal. I mean, we've got two billionaires at the club, and we have trouble spending money. One of the billionaires isn't invited on to make any decisions. The other billionaire who owns the club doesn't go to any games. You know, so there's, as we all know from the very top, that creates a problem. He sent his son over, I would suggest, doesn't really know about Premiership football, probably knows a lot about business, but it's a football club. With Ivan Gazidis, very smooth, political, should be in House of Cards, should be some slippery character in 24. Doesn't really talk football, talks a great business, says a load of stuff without saying anything, and it's slipping down, and here we are with people kind of scared to make decisions, incredibly silent to the fans when there's things that need to be said, reassurances that need to be made, statements that need to be said, heart truth words that need to be, and they're silent. And it's kind of like if you're taking the mick out the fans. It's like you're just forgetting us that people go up and down the country into Europe. We've been in a real state of trouble, and nothing's been said, and it's like it's wrong. So Victoria, Concordia, Crescent, victory through harmony, and there has been very, very little harmony, and something's got to change to get us back on track and start being the glorious club that we are and start winning silverware.
Oh, he's cut himself off.
Dan,
Yeah.
I told you it'd be value, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Superb. I love this guy.
Okay, so that was 35 minutes. Cut himself off.
Sorry, I got cut off there. Sorry.
That's the kind of stuff we will leave in. Because if you listen back to this, you'll hear Jace was very nice about you. Jace, you got a question for Shovell?
Yeah, obviously, you've seen the sort of the change in football since the Sky money's come in.
Yeah.
And you've been in the music industry at the same time. You performed to big crowds. You've been top of the charts and so forth. Do you see the relation between the change in sport and music?
Massively, absolutely. And this is there's a massive. It's like, very fortunately, when I was in bands and sort of at my peak, talking about Arsene Wenger's peak, at the peak of bands and touring and all across the world, people were buying albums. People wanted CDs then, it went from vinyl, but people would go out to the shop and buy something and hold it in their hands. And
I know.
Oh, he's done it again. He's getting so excited. He's talking to you, Jace. We'll just sit here, dear listener.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
So, you know what? Sorry about this. My missus keeps cutting her off because I'm talking to you lot.
Do you want us to pause this so you can ring her back?
No. It's all good.
Okay, well, things like this we leave in because it just we don't like to be too polished. So go on, carry on. You were saying.
Yeah. So in relation to people going out and searching for what they wanted to buy, going into record shops, having something to hold, reading it while it was reading the CD, reading the album while you were listening to the album. It actually, I don't know, it meant a lot more than sort of downloading now and paying 99p and I mean, who listens? There's a whole generation that aren't used to buying records. They're on Spotify. You don't. So it can be. I don't know. If throwaway is a bit of a.
That's his missus again.
Yeah, I hope it's important, not just what's for dinner.
But this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, gonna come explain to him now. I remember saving up for my first albums. For my first records and so forth. And
what was it? What was your first one?
I've spoke to her and
okay.
It. Sorry.
Okay.
Right. One last time. Sorry, Jeff.
Sorry, but it's the thing, Shovell. I remember saving up for my first albums. And then you cherished that album. You read it back to front. You read the lyrics and stuff. My nephew, he's 19. I don't think he pays for music. He just downloads it.
Exactly. And like my mate, my mate's daughter. My mate said she never listens to it. I mean, she's 16. She doesn't listen to an album. She listens to that track and that track. And it's not necessarily anything wrong in that, but it just is a completely different time. When you ask an 18-year-old now to pay 10, 15 quid for an album, he's like, why am I going to do that? And I think there's the people making music in their bedrooms on laptops, not in studios. There's a whole plethora. Loads of different music. People just make it, takes a day, send it out, and there's a swamp of music. It's harder to find a great one. You can get kind of spoilt by the amount, and I think it's crossed over a bit into football when you can watch a game Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can watch a dodgy stream and watch Brazil, Denmark, Japan, World Cups. It's smothered, I think, and I think this. When we were just talking about FA Cup finals and how special they were and the memories. And now, there's always that talk of, the FA Cup and people playing their second team and people thinking about the big game they've got on Wednesday, so leave the star players out of their cup round, etc., etc. So there is a whole change. And, of course, it's a lot more expensive as well. So, in my view, you can, at the top end, you can cut out a whole group of fans who would love to be there but can't afford it. And there's another group of fans who used to go all the time and now don't go.
Yeah.
Shovell, you as you're a music person, there might be people listening just for the music aspect of it. What was the first album? What was the first album? I want everybody to answer this. What was the first album you ever bought, and what was the last album you listened to?
Whoa,
there you go. See,
question.
we go deep on ABW. Go.
I think the first album I bought was Linton Crazy Johnson, which was a dub poet. But alongside that was Never Mind the Bollocks, Sex Pistols, Ian Dury, New Boots and Panties. It's all around 76, that sort of time. The last album I listened to was Donny Hathaway and I've forgotten the female singer, but it was like a blue. But again, it was from the 70s. So I'm complaining about the kids now. I hardly listen, any new albums. I sort of like play a track here or there, but it's more retro than new stuff.
What was yours, Gav? This would be embarrassing.
Probably. I mean, the first single I bought, because I honestly, I don't think I ever bought a vinyl album. But the first bit of vinyl I bought was Ant Music, Adam and the Ant.
Oh, hello.
And I think the last CD I bought was
one last album you listened to. That's
last
more
album
relevant.
I listened to. I don't. If I have to listen to music, then again I'm guilty of what Shovell's saying. Really, I'll go on YouTube and depending on what mood I'm in, I'll put on either some madness. I'll put on a bit of ska. I might put on a bit of reggae. I might put a bit of acid house. Really just depends on what sort of mood I'm in. But I think the last album that I sort of just literally listened to was probably The Verve. Was it Unfinished Symphony or whatever it's called?
Mm.
Yeah, that was probably the last album that I bought and sort of used to sort of literally get home from work and chuck on whilst I talk rubbish about Arsenal on the internet.
Jace, what was yours?
It was David Bowie was my first album.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Look at you showing off. I'm embarrassed when I come to
No. It's from. It was the Serious Moonlight album. Is that the one? Because I was never into music as a kid. I remember seeing Bowie and just hearing the music and thinking, all of a sudden that was it. And the last one I listened to was Foo Fighters.
No, that's a couple of good shouts there, first and last. Yeah,
I think we should avoid my ones through sheer embarrassment.
Dan, coming out with it, mate.
Was it Benny Hill, Ernie the Milkman?
First album I bought was from Andy's Records in Huntingdon, and it was Mel and Kim FLM.
Oh, mate, that's a blinder. That's a blinder.
Yeah, but the last album I listened to was the new Taylor Swift one.
Brilliant.
Wow.
But the one before that was De La Soul, 3 Foot High and Rising.
Oh, beautiful. You redeemed yourself. Just about.
Trouble. I remember playing Soul to Soul Club Classics.
That was an album.
For 2 summers. But the first album I was ever given was the Wombles Christmas album.
Of course it was. Uncle Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah, did you have a question for Shovell before we move on to the AC Milan game?
Yeah, it's just a quick one. I mean, I know, Shovell, you've played in some top clubs, top arenas, top stadiums throughout the world and all that.
Keep
Personally,
going. Keep going, mate. You're doing well there.
You play to millions on the TV, millions and millions. Do you know what I mean? I mean, whatever there is to have done in your industry, you've probably done it. Do you know what I mean? But what is the bigger buzz? Playing the big gigs that have just really, really kicked off, or seeing Arsenal win a trophy?
Oh, mate.
What's the buzz?
I mean,
what was the bigger personal buzz?
I've got to be honest. I mean, listen, watching the Arsenal win anything is amazing, brilliant. However, you know, you've got to remember. Well, you might not even know. I was a kid who was Deptford. I was chucked out of school at 15. I always wanted to be a musician. I was asked to leave school, so I ended up being a plumber on Lewisham Council for 9 years. So I've literally had my hands down toilet pans every second of that, dreaming about being in a band. Never, ever, ever thought it would happen. So when it did, and I resigned from the council in 1990, April 1990, after 9 years. 93, I think it was, or 94, I was playing Glastonbury, the penultimate band, Saturday night in front of 60,000 people. So it's like, I was like, because I was still 80% of me was still a plumber from South East London. On a stage with some drums in front of me. It was like, I cannot believe. And then it was art in Australia. I mean, it was amazing. So winning Brit Awards, Ivor Novello's, Mercury, it was incredible. It was absolutely unbelievable. So as much as I always followed the Arsenal, I still have a buzz when they win anything. On a personal note, it was so unbelievable that a sort of expelled Deptford plumber would literally live the dream and be successful. I still can't read a note of music. You know what I mean? And I've been a professional musician for 28 years. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm still in disbelief. So in answer to your question, selfishly, it's when I do something really good. That's the biggest buzz. But I love it when Arsenal win. When Arsenal win, obviously it's a great time.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Well, I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? There's something, especially when my family used to come, especially if we played somewhere like Crystal Palace, and you could recognise the first 4 rows of under. I used to be in the pub with them people and on the council with me. It's just like, oh my, how did this happen? It's a sort of unbelievable, amazing feeling, and that's how a lot of footballers must feel. When you start kicking a ball in a park, you might dream about playing for your favourite team or a top team or then your country, but when it happens, you just got to be like, oh, what a percentage of the whole world? I don't know, like 1, if that. Yeah. To actually have it, it's such an incredible, amazing buzz, which also can be quite dangerous, in some ways. So you've got to be careful with it. But yes, I'm trying to be as short as possible. I like to waffle, lads. So you got to tell me.
You're in the right company, yeah.
All right, yeah. So
This is the thing. I'm amazed that anybody listens to us. I'm amazed. Genuinely, it amazes me when somebody contacts us on Twitter or we do the radio show live and people interact. It amazes me to think of what it must have been like for you to walk down the street and somebody's playing your album in the car and you can hear it. It must be amazing.
Well, for Charlie George, you were.
Yeah, for Charlie George, the biggest bit of Charlie George going, all right, Sharp, how's it going? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing that got me was the picture of you with Tony Adams the other day.
Oh, I saw that on your Twitter.
It's Tony Adams.
Mate, but like a few of the lads used to come to see the gigs, and so this is what I mean. I would do a gig. I'm already buzzing, and then I'd walk into the green room, as it were, and there's me mum and dad, and then uncle, and there's the other band, and then there's like Tony and Parlour and Merce and like Righty. It's just like, oh, do you know what I mean? No pressure then. Do you know what I mean? It was amazing. It was amazing. So incredible days, and I never forget them. And I'm still here, still playing, still doing a few, not as many, because I like to go to bed now, and I've changed my life quite a lot. I like to have an 8 hours kip rather than not sleep for 8 days. Do you know what I mean? So, there's been a lot of changes. But like I say, I'm very, very grateful what happened, and I'm very, very grateful I'm still alive to be talking to you lot about it right now.
So you said back in the day you used to see all the players. Did Merson go on about being a Chelsea fan every 5 minutes when they were wallowing in Division 2 back then?
I'll be honest with you. Shall I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I've been out with like that was. I mean, it's not a secret, is it? So when I was out with Merson, it was only a couple of times I would say properly out with him, and he certainly wasn't talking about Chelsea. The conversation went like this, and that was about it. And that was me and him. That was about as much sense as you could get out of the pair. But we understood each other perfectly well, And like I said, the times have changed for the pair of us, I think. You know what I mean? I think you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wine and merriment passed between us.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Good. Well, okay. That's really interesting. I feel
which I must say, at some times in the middle of it, I'd think, hold on, ain't you got a game on Saturday?
I mean, now he probably did.
I'd probably half get the ump about it. Do you know what I mean? But hey, it's like I said, it's not a secret. I mean, we were pretty successful, and he was a pretty good player at the end of the day. I mean, that cup final when he's doing the pint thing with each hand. I mean, it wasn't that much of a secret, was it? Really?
Bit of a giveaway, that one, wasn't it?
Bit of a giveaway. I'm going to get smashed after this. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, maybe if the modern day players did do it, football would be a little bit better. We'd have more of a connection with them.
Yeah, you'd also be able to keep up with them a bit more.
Okay, let's move on to the AC Milan game. So we're just going to get the thoughts of the game. I know it's nearly a week ago now. So Jace, when you did the live radio show, you were jumping up and down like either your seat was on fire or it was Christmas Eve when you were 6 years old. I haven't seen you that happy in a while. Your thoughts on the game?
To be fair, you know me, I always sort of pick a win. You know, I'm never going to back us to lose. And I was pretty confident going in there just simply because I was expecting a reaction, but the reaction we got, I didn't expect that. You know, started the game, AC Milan came out, all guns blazing, trying, David Astore died on the weekend before, he was a youngster at AC Milan. They obviously wanted to win it, and there's the Gattuso factor. But we soaked up the pressure. We soaked up the early pressure, the first 5 minutes, and then we started to play. And as soon as we started to play, I think, it's quite clear the difference in quality of player you had on show. I thought, we started to dominate the game. We made some really good, clear-cut chances. We, didn't quite go away. That's fine. When Mkhitaryan put the ball away, great ball from Ozil. Bit of luck with the finish and deflection, but you make your own luck. Fantastic. From there on in, they only look like one winner to me. Then we go on to the Ramsey goal. Lovely flick over to Welbeck. Welbeck, cool head, just dishes the ball out to Ozil. Great through ball and a lovely way to finish. Cool as you like. Sits the keeper, Donnarumma down. Go into half-time 2-up. What more impressed me was the way we came out the second half. We knew they were going to come for us again. And we trusted our defence. I thought, I give Jack Wilshere a bit of a hard time. I thought he was quiet first half. Second half, he looked a lot more lively. He was a lot more involved in the game. You could see Welbeck working hard. Look, we all know Welbeck's problem at the moment. I feel for the guy, but don't take away from the work he did from the top defending. Mkhitaryan defended well. And I thought the defence was great. Chambers, Mustafi, and Koscielny. I thought Koscielny, he turned the clock back a couple of years. He really looked sharp. But the one good thing is they didn't have a lot of pace on the pitch to trouble us. And, we did get a little bit lucky at times, but I think we earned our luck. I think we defended as a team. I think the way we played, we soaked it up, took them on, outplayed them, and we deservedly won.
Well, very concisely put. Gav, what was your thoughts on the game?
Love that.
Oh, he's lyrical.
Very, very much.
I don't think Jace has left much for anyone else to say,
Sorry, pal.
I'll try and lead you in with this. After all the hype about they had not lost their last 13 games and conceded 1 goal in the last 8 games, how do we manage to beat them? I mean, that Ramsey thing was a thing of beauty. He should retire on that.
Yeah, no, I thought, like everybody, I wasn't highly optimistic going into.
You're never optimistic. The last time you were optimistic was 1998.
No, I was optimistic the game before and the game before that and the game before that, and I even thought we'd win against Man City both games. But
that's delusional, not optimistic.
Well, yeah, no, I probably had a few beers before I started getting a bit optimistic, but Welbeck, I don't think Welbeck could bloody buy a goal at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So anytime we got Welbeck playing up front through the middle. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we're not giving young Eddie a chance, because I think he's been banging them away for the under-23s, and he banged a couple away against Norwich, I believe, in the League Cup earlier in the season. And I think really he should be given a chance above Welbeck. If just to play straight down the middle, just give the young kid a chance. Do you know what I mean? You've got to drop him in sooner or later, and like I say, that he should have dropped him in a few times by now. I was impressed with. I mean, because like I say, a lot of people harp on Ramsey and Wilshere can't play in the same team together. So I was happy to see that not only did both of them play in the same team together, one, but they both actually had a good game. I thought they was dubbed. They've got to use their heads, them two. They've got to make sure that when one's forward, one's dropping off, and they've got to make sure they're not taking up the same position. And when Wenger does change it up slightly, and one's got to cover left and one's got to cover right, that they're doing that. And I was just happy, really. I mean, it was good for us to win. I think that was out. We'd lost the 4 straight before that, hadn't we?
Yeah,
we had indeed.
It was just good to get a win. It was good to see us win. I mean, I love it when we win. I don't get as down when we lose these days, because sometimes there is more important things in life. But like I say, just to get the win, and as Jace waxed lyrical about, more or less everybody had a good game. And like I say, but the thing for me was the looking forward was the Jack and Ramsey, because I don't see that there should ever be a choice between the two of them. I think they're both intelligent enough, and if the system is in place, then hopefully one day we're going to get to see the absolute best out of the pair of them.
Did you hear that sound of Jason seething every time you mention Wilshere's name? Don't bite, Jason.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me, mate. Don't do that to me.
No, because that just makes you want to talk about it.
I've got to say that game, I was really surprised that AC Milan seemed to let us play. And I think any team that lets us play. I mean, we've got some great players, but usually we've been in such a dire state because teams have been in our faces and won't let us have time on the ball. And AC Milan just seem to stand off us and let us play. And any team that does that, we can play. And we showed it there. And all that, like you said, 13 games, they was on an unbeaten. They look terrible. They look like us in the previous 4 games. Do you know what I mean? And we look great right from the off, and a magnificent away win. And the thing is, I must say, the tie's not over. I've got to tell you what, I'm predicting a 3-3 on Thursday.
The thing is, you saw Xhaka with time on the ball. He was a different player, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Magnificent performance from him. I thought he just ran that deeper midfield role, and it was beautiful to watch.
Well, but again, this is the thing. We have plenty of players who are magnificent with the ball, and when they have time. But we're talking about the Premiership now, and very rarely is there a team that doesn't know how to play, have half a chance against Arsenal, which is, don't give us time on the ball, get in our faces, swamp them, have 2 to 3 players coming at each player, and it's difficult for us to string the passes together. But if you stand off us, we can play through anyone. And like I say, I was incredibly pleasantly surprised that AC Milan seemed to stand off us.
Shovell, I saw a few tweets saying that the problem with Arsenal was we were playing in the wrong league. Now, do you think if we went and played in Serie A, the likes of Ozil and Mkhitaryan would do that week in, week out? Because they were both magnificent. And that was, oddly, Ozil's first decent game for us since he signed his new contract. What do you think? Not about us moving leagues, because that's ridiculous, but about those two being brilliant.
I don't sound like I'm taking over, but I agree that Ozil's got to, what is it, 50, the fastest player to get to 50 assists.
Yeah.
Is it in the Premiership since the Premiership began or something?
Yeah. Beat Cantona by 2 games.
And beat Cantona by 2 games. There's still a bunch going, we can't afford him in this team. I think we've got certain players in the team. We've got too many of the same players in the team. And I think when we have players like Ozil and Mkhitaryan, we need other players who kind of do other things to let them do that. And we need some, how should I say, more defensive-minded, they shall not pass kind of players, and let the likes of Ozil just play sublime football. And when you're expecting Ozil to run back and put a sliding tackle, it ain't going to happen, you know. But I just think sometimes we've got too many of those players, and not. I mean, how long have we been going on about a holding central midfielder and a good strong centre half? And I know people can say, "Oh, that's old school," but I honestly think we miss a certain bite and a certain defensive-minded system or mindset that allows our flair players to play with flair.
Don't worry about taking over. You're the special guest. This is mainly about you speaking.
I love you, darling. I love you.
Okay, what about Jace was on about Welbeck. This season, he's played 29 games, got 5 goals. I was just looking at for England, he's got 15 in 36. Do you think we're ever going to get to the situation where he's going to have that kind of form for Arsenal? Because it doesn't seem like it, does it?
I think when Welbeck plays for England, he remembers to put studs in. And when he plays for us, he's got ice skates. I mean, what is going on? What the fella? I don't know. It's funny. He just seems to fall over like so often. It's strange. And I also think, like we spoke about Iwobi earlier, I think he's one of those players who's on the fringes. He's always trying to get back to full fitness. Always therefore trying to get back to consistent confidence, and he's always a potential favourite to be picked on through many of the fans, which he feels and Iwobi feels. And I think when you're like that, you have a tendency to try too hard, and when you try too hard, you fall over.
I was just looking at his stats, and he scored, like I said, 5 goals this season. 3 of those came in the first month of the season.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
good,
he's a hard working running player, but to have him, I think who was it, Gav? I think just said to have him down the middle, expected him to play as out and out centre forward sometimes. It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to. Even at AC, even the game the other day, and he had the 1-on-1 with the keeper. He's got to put it away, and it was straight at the keeper. But obviously he's one of several players who, like I said, lacking confidence, lacking full game minutes, and you kind of know. As them players, you're kind of, well, if other players were fit or could play, he wouldn't be in the team. So, you've got to take your chance. You've got to prove your point. And there's a few players not proving their point, and they're playing because we haven't got anyone else at the moment, which isn't very good.
Yeah, I agree. Jace, just one thing after the game. Wilshere hinted he is still no closer to signing a new deal. Has recently run. His recent run of average form, which Jace will no doubt point out every chance he gets. His run of average form has not helped the situation. As Wenger has said, that the offer is there and it's up to Jack. He's currently on about 110 grand a week. I don't know, makes sense to me. And his new offer is 90 plus more for appearances. Now, I just looked. He has played 30 games this season, so he's proved his fitness. That's his 4th best tally in the decade he's been playing, Jace. So, what's going to happen? I want everyone's view on this. We start with Jace. What's going to happen with his contract? Because people say we can't offer him a decent contract and give Ramsey the money that Ramsey more probably better deserves.
I think you got to take Ramsey and Wilshere out. Then it's not a combined thing. Okay, so separate them. Ramsey's contract has nothing to do with Jack Wilshere's contract. Jack Wilshere has to accept the fact that he's at a big club. Okay. He's not going to go to Man City. He's not going to go to Man United. He's not going to go to, any bigger club in the UK. He may get offers from abroad. I don't know. But when you look at his appearances over the last 3 or 4 years, the club rightfully look at this and say, this is a high risk. Jack Wilshere's contract is all about risk management. And, he's doing the right things. If Jack signs a 90 grand a week contract, that's not bad money. Let's be fair.
I wouldn't grumble.
He may think he's worth more, but Okay, let's be honest. They have to manage the risk with injury with him, and that's a high risk move at the moment for the club. No matter what he does, if he signs the new contract with appearance money on top of his basic, and proves his fitness over the next season, no doubt they'll offer him another contract. But there's a lot of people just wanting to, how do I put this? Expecting a pay rise on non-contribution. I know Jack was at Bournemouth last season. That was just a matter of fact as to where he was in his career with the Arsenal. That's not the club's fault. It's not his fault. He went to try to get fitness. That's great. But when you actually, if he's a creative I see Jack Wilshere as a deep-lying playmaker. I think that's a skill set. For him to play 10 or anything like that, I just don't get it. You look at his Premier League stats, 160-odd games, 8 goals, and 16 assists. And that's your bread and butter. But that's 160-odd appearances in the Premier League over 9 years. Was it 9 or 10 years? So you're looking
10 seasons.
So that's 60. That averages out to 16 games a season for the Arsenal. You got to do the math on it. The club are going to have to protect their investment, and obviously they're going to have to look to bring new blood in. If you can give me 4 reasons why Jack Wilshere deserves a pay rise, fine, give him the pay rise.
I'll give you 4.
Go on,
here
then.
we go.
Jack's one of the only players in the squad who knows what it really, really means to be an Arsenal.
Whoa. I've heard that time and time again. That doesn't equate to winning games. It doesn't equate to controlling games, and it doesn't equate to winning games.
Right. That's point 1 that I'm having that point. Right.
No, you're
point
not.
2 is there's only point 2, right, is there's only 3 or 4 there's only 3 players that have played more games than Jack this season. And he's played bloody 4 more games than our a reserve captain Koscielny. So if you're talking about maybe giving Koscielny a new contract, then I wouldn't be in front of him because
I wouldn't give Koscielny a new contract. Koscielny needs to be replaced. Tendonitis is not going away. It's not going away.
No, I won't compare that. Right, point number 3. He's got a good haircut. Right?
Do you know what? I'll take that all day long.
No, seriously, he's got a good haircut. Right. Point 4. Right, is that like you, I feel that his best position. He's just picking the ball up off the back 4, and he's more of a deep laying midfielder. But he can also play box to box, and he can also, in emergency, play as a number 10. So I think really the fact that he can cover 3 different positions, and I think I had another point, is point number 5 for you. I think that if him and Ramsey can continue the form that they had at AC Milan, where they're dovetailing and both of them having a good game, then really you've got to look to that. In fact, point number 6, how much do you think it would cost you to buy a central midfielder with international experience, right, who's going to give you, well, I mean, by the end of this season, what's he going to take part in? 35, 36 games?
I don't know, mate.
Right? You're looking at 50 million quid to replace him, right? Now, the club want to learn from the absolute debacle they made of players like Diaby and Rosicky. And obviously, they don't want to be landing in with 250 grand a week for the next 6 years. But I do think that he should be offered decent money, even if the contract is only 1 or 2 years.
This is the thing, Gav. I think, I don't know the details of the contract, okay? But if you're saying he's been offered 90 grand a week plus his appearance money, I don't think that's bad money. Okay? I don't.
Of course it's not. I'd settle for that for fucking.
Yeah.
But for that. But only work 1 week a year.
My point is, if he signs that contract and then puts in a great season next season, he's in a strong position to renegotiate, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't think, when we look at the money side of it, I think we have to take the emotion out of it. I think the club have learned from Diaby, Rosicky, Arteta, etc. And I think this is the reason they're offering this type of contract.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that they've got to come to some sort of compromise, like I say, and I don't think he's going to be happy with the fact that he gets performance-related pay, because you know how tight-fisted our club can be. They can drop him for a couple of weeks just so they don't have to bloody pay him. Do you know what I mean? And that could get into the point where he has to kiss arse all the time just to make sure he gets a game. And I don't think that's right either, because he could say one wrong word in training, and he could be dropped for a month, and he loses a quarter of his money for a month. So I don't think that's right. Obviously, I'm not saying give him 250, 300 grand a week. What I'm saying is they should work. What they should do is they should sit down now, work out what the performance pay is against the amount of games he's played this year, and then offer him that as an average for the whole year for next season, and give him a 2-year deal. And he should be literally on a 2-year with a 1-year extension sort of rolling. That's what they should do with him, because we can't afford to lose. Like I say, so many times last point, Jay. So many times this season, right? We've lost. Or the team hasn't showed any bottle, the team hasn't showed any character. Jackie's one of the only players that we've got who's actually got a bit of character, and he's got a bit of bottle about him. And they're the sort of players that if we're going to want to improve on, where we finished bloody this year, do you know what I mean? We need players like him. We need players like him about, and that's why he's worth the money.
I'll give you a flip side on that, mate. I think the club have to look over the last 3 years, not just this season. Okay, and that's part of the reason they're offering this. I don't care about how much they offer him. I really don't. If they want to pay him 200 grand a week, that's down to them. I couldn't give a monkeys. It's not my problem. If you're telling me that, Jack's got bottle, I got no problem with that. But in the run where he's played central midfield since around Christmas time, our results haven't been that great. And that's not just his fault. Let's make no bones about it. That's a team. And that's down to the team and the manager. But when you look at the big picture with it, it's a really convoluted problem, which, yes, they have to sit down together and work it out. But I think with the sums of money being spoken about with other players at other clubs, that may be getting in the way of it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say he walks out. They don't do a deal. He walks out on a free in the summer, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, and like I say, I mean, I think he'll get plenty of offers.
Yeah, he'll get plenty of offers. Yeah,
especially in Italy, and he'll probably go to one of the top Italian teams. Will be all over him.
There's the kids business, wasn't there? He's got kids there.
Yeah, and the second tier Spanish teams. Not Barcelona or Madrid, but like I say, the second tier Spanish teams. Again, they're be all over him as well. Someone who can pick the ball up and spread it out from the back and blah, blah, blah. So he's going to get good offers.
Yeah, but the thing is, nobody pays what the Premier League
pays. The thing is, though, he leaves this summer on a free. We've got to replace somebody who could potentially play 41 games this year.
Yeah, and that's the club's problem, mate.
And that's 50 million quid. You're looking at 50 million quid to replace Jack, right? And that's plus the players' wages. So for a 50 million pound central midfielder, you're looking at paying them 250 grand. So you're looking at 62 million quid to replace Jack next year. I'd rather sign him up and give him what he wants.
I think we'd all prefer him to stay. Right? No issues there. But if you look over the last 3 seasons at the appearances for the club, this season has been his best for a long, long time. Okay. That's what you're replacing. And if you look at our performances this season, if you're telling me that any of them, not just Jack here now, let's make no bones about this, you look at any of those players, if you tell me any of those guys are 50 million pound players on this season's performances, I think there's a lot to disagree with, And that's not just Jack, that's every single player in that squad.
I don't want to get Shovell's view on this to step in between these two, but Man United have just been knocked out of the Champions League by Sevilla. Sanchez didn't score. They lost 2-1 at home.
Wow.
Goodbye, Jose. So, Shovell, what's your thoughts on this entire debacle? I told you, once these two get at it, I have to prize them apart.
I think that, Jack's kind of, I don't know about suffering, but he's on the experience of the club, like you just said. You named Riziki, Abdouabi. Who was another one you mentioned? Anyway, but I'm more thinking of, Arteta. I'm more thinking of very recent Theo Walcott, where it wasn't that long ago. He was like, signed a ting and don't go Theo, and pretty quickly after that, we was like, he's Someone explained to playing Arsenal when Theo Walcott. It's like when Theo Walcott was playing for Arsenal. It's like starting the game 1-0 up and playing with 10 men, and it strangely makes sense. And this is a player who scored over 100 goals for Arsenal. Now he's at Everton. You don't really hear about him. And I think the two new guys who have come in, was it Raul Sanyehi and Sven Mislintat, I think that they're beginning to have their say in matters which were Arsene Wenger's saying only. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think what's Jack now? He's 28?
Is he? He's around 27, 28, yeah.
27, 28. And I think that they're because of the long contracts, long expensive contracts to other players, that they're being very cautious of Jack getting into his later 20s, of suffering the injuries that he's had. I think they would like him to stay, but I think for once Arsenal have gone, you know what, this is our limit. And obviously Jack Wilshere and his agents and whoever have gone, well, no, we think we can get more. At this moment, I feel he's going to go. I don't want him to go. I'd love to have Jack Wilshere as part of the squad, but I'm feeling. Thank you very much. I'm feeling.
Someone agrees.
Thank you. The fire engine. Thank you very much. I'm feeling that at this moment he's going to be leaving. Now, I also think, where's he going to go? Like when you leave the Arsenal, I don't think any of the. I would be very surprised, like you said, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, them lot down the road, Chelsea. I don't know. Would they go with Jack Wilshere? I don't think so. So as much as you're saying, like with Spain. But he ain't going to, if it's about money, is he going to earn anything near like 90 grand plus whatever for performances in Spain or anywhere else in Europe? I'm not sure. So I think he's pushing Arsenal's buttons to try and get as much as he can, which he's got every right to do. But if it's stalemate, obviously, I think at this moment it looks like he's going to go, which would be a very sad affair because. As you were just saying, he's sort of, you could say, born and bred Arsenal, come up through the ranks. He's one of the only few players left there, if any, who has, apart from the new players that are coming in. But it's all, like I just said, with Raul and Sven, these new guys, it's starting to breed a new way of thinking, a new beginning, and I think they've learnt from past mistakes. And, it's going to be, I feel it's going to be a sort of... stalemate and until right to the very, very end. And it's what they say, who blinks first? It's going to be one of them.
I think he'll sign, but he's 26, by the way. Sorry, I was wrong.
26, okay.
Yeah, he was 26.
I think he'll stay. I think they'll come to an arrangement. I think, as you say, it's a Mexican standoff at the moment.
It is. But I also, like I said, I think where would he go? Who would buy Jack Wilshere?
He'd be good in Italy. I mean, he's got this game, these last two games against Milan. Inter Milan and AC Milan are currently in a real rebuilding phase with the new Chinese owners that isn't really working out for either club. And he had a chance to go to play in Italy last season. He had a choice of Italy or Bournemouth, and family reasons he stayed in the UK. So personally, I'd love to see him in Milan. That'd be great.
But like I say, but if it comes down to money, I'm not so sure he's going to get. he's going to get what he maybe thinks he's going to get by going to. I mean, I might be wrong. What do I know about his contract?
No, you got a point.
But Inter Milan, AC Milan, is he going to get 100 something grand a week there? I'm not convinced he will. So
I'm not even sure it's down to the money with him. Do you know what I mean? I think I think really he just wants a bit of sort of like, as you said, he's 26. Do you know what I mean? I think he wants somewhere to lay his at for the next 3 years. Yeah, and I genuinely think he wants it to be at Arsenal. But I think as that film goes, it's show me the money. Show me the money and show me the love. He wants to feel that Arsenal will come and say, look, Jack, we want you to stay. We love you. We want to give you a 3-year deal. We want to give you what the going rate is for a midfielder who's playing for a top 6 team. And that's that. Yeah, your money will go up if we get Champions League. Yeah, you get a bonus if we win a cup or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, knocking his money down, I think it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, don't you?
Well, I very much agree. When he's probably one of the longest serving, the way he's looking at it, I've been here the longest. I've come to the rank. I'm proving England international. Look how much Mesut Ozil's in on. Look how Aubameyang's coming. Mkhitaryan's coming. Hold on a minute. You want to drop my money? Yeah. Hold on a minute. I get that. I absolutely get that. But this is what I feel that there's this new. I think possibly if it was down to Arsene Wenger, you might go, do you know what, Jack? Well, I might sign a deal and get on with it. But I think there's a new powers, shall I say, at play who are going, I don't know. Let's hold on with this. This is. We would like it to stay. This is our limit. Take it or leave it. And I know what you're saying about going about other players, but I feel that they believe, especially with that Sven, that there's possibly other players out there who are younger and fitter and potentially have a role to play. Because it's still confusing at the moment. Of all the years, what is Jack's best position in that midfield? Mm. And it's a bit weird that after all these years we're still confused where his best position is.
And this is the thing, I think you're bang on with the Sven comment, because if you're Sven Mislintat with who's brought through so many young talents at Dortmund, he may be saying, well, look, I can get this guy for this money. Okay,
exactly. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah.
And I just look at Jack and I just think he is deep-lying playmaker written all over him. When he gets the ball on his feet and drives, he scares people.
But we love you, Jack. Let's just say, Jack Wilshere, we love you, son.
Let's be honest. We all want him to do well. Yeah. We want all our players to do well. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Apart from Iwobi.
No, I
don't mean that. Iwobi just needs the chances. Right, we're going to move on to the Watford game now. Right, so start with Gav. What was your thoughts on the game, Gav? And do we need a moment's silence for Troy Deeney as he holds his cojones? Or if you're on TalkSport, Cajones, as one of the people who pronounced it as. And there again, my pronunciation is always terrible. Go on, Gav.
Like I say, it was just nice that we didn't have a hangover really from the AC Milan game. Wenger rightly rested a few players. Koscielny, Bellerin, Jack was on the bench. Ramsey, I don't know whether he's had a little knock or whether he just had the weekend off or what. So, but no, it was just nice. There was nice link-up play. We looked dodgy at the back at times, but obviously that's a back four that's probably never played together at all. And it was kind of one of them games where you was thinking, please let us score first. Please let us score first. And like I say, we had the chances. We could have been 3-0 up at half time. We could have been 3-0 down. And it was just kind of one of those, really. But we took the chances well. It was nice that the two new fellas, who I'm still not happy pronouncing their names, both got an assist with each other and both got a goal off each other. So that was good. And like I say, at 2-0, it looked like we was cruising. And then they got a penalty, which I think we was a bit unlucky about. I mean, he kind of just stood there and the player just sort of ran into him and dived over him. And I don't really like them kind of penalties, really. I'd like to see a penalty where someone actually gets properly taken out. like Mkhitaryan in the first half when he got taken out. He played the ball in and then the fella went right through him, and that should have been brought back for a penalty. But anyway, so Delaney missed the penalty. Cech saved his first penalty. Cech got his 200th clean sheet, and it was just kind of nice, really. Like I say, the crowd inside the ground is really reflecting, people's unhappiness with regards to the club and regards to how we've actually performed this calendar year. So, like I say, it's been 2 home games on the trot now where it really has been low attendances, which hopefully will give everybody a kick up the arse for next season. But yeah, no, we won. I was happy, and and I had a nice Ruby afterwards.
Okay, before I come to you, Shovell, just a Alexa's going to go off on one again. Okay, just got a listener's question combined with a few stats, because I do love my stats. Chris Nielsen asks, Cech saved his first penalty for us, but was it a fluke or is the curse broken, and will he save another one? Now, a few stats about his penalties. That's his 200th Premiership clean sheet. He had to wait 12 games from his last one, which was in December against Newcastle. That's his first penalty save for Arsenal ever, out of 16. Wow. But in his entire career of penalties for club and country, he's conceded 58 penalties and only ever saved 17. The last one he saved was for Chelsea in the Champions League. It was against Maribor in October 2014. And finally, this is quite an important point, but of the 15 pens he has conceded for us, or not has let in for us, that's not the right word. What's the right way to put that? Has not saved.
Hasn't saved,
yeah. Of the 15 pens he hasn't saved for us, we only lost 4 of those games. So your thoughts on the game, and then your thoughts on the penalty situation, and was it a fluke?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Well, is any penalty save a fluke? I mean, they don't know what way he's going to... Well, very rarely do you know what way... I mean, he saved it. You know what I mean? He actually saved the penalty for the Arsenal. It's like, I don't care, fluke. I don't care if he come up his nose. It is. He saved a penalty. So, yeah, the curse, or whatever you want to call it, is over. He saved the penalty. He then kept a clean sheet because he saved the penalty, and we scored 3 goals. The fact that Deeney was taking the penalty adds an extra little bit of va-va-voom in the situation as well. So, yeah, the curse is over. Petr Cech goes on. And the actual game itself, I was talking earlier about AC Milan standing off us. Watford, in my view, are quite a physical team. They don't stand off you, but yet we still kept a clean sheet. We were able to score 3 goals, and we looked confident. There was 2 games in our current spell, 2 games on the spin where we scored goals, kept a clean sheet, and looked like we were confident again. We looked like we was passing the ball, going forward, wasn't going side to side, and it was just really, really, really pleasing to see it as a fan of Arsenal. And you weren't just going, I can't believe, he's shit. It was just good to be optimistic, happy, we've won, and move on to the next game. So, I don't really want. I'll leave the ins and outs of what happened at the game maybe to someone else, because I think you did it very well there. But yeah, it was just great to win. Great to win.
Jace, agree with everything that Shovell said there. So your thoughts on the game, and the note I made was we only started with 6. If the entire team was fit and not suspended or not cup tied, that we only started with 6 of our first choice players. Did you expect the team to gel so quickly? And as we start, I think we started superbly. What's your thoughts on the game?
To be honest, we do have strength and depth in the squad. Okay, we do. I mean, I love the way Elneny and Xhaka played together.
Played great.
Yeah, had a good game.
And this is the thing with Elneny now. He's finding that form again where he's really effective in the middle. Because I felt at the end of last season, beginning of this season, he wasn't quite as effective as he had been when he first came here. And so, you're seeing him come back and be effective there. Some of our interplay, as the guys have said, was superb. But, you look at Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back. This kid won a World Cup in the summer. You know, he believes in his ability. He's played left back. He knows he can go over. He was a little bit unlucky with a penalty. I think he's just got caught in a bit of a muddle. It happens to the best of us, you know.
So caught a bit square, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden, he's tried to be clever, and he frustrates me. He's so cool. We were saying on the radio show, he's too cool for school. You know, the kid he has utter belief in his ability. And I love it when he's got the ball at his feet and he's going forward. But I think there's a vast improvement in his defensive skills from sort of the Liverpool game and so forth. I think he's improving all the time. It's great to see that. I like Chambers and Holding. I know a lot of people have issues with them, but I think they could become really good centre halves. And, you know, when Chambers replaced Mustafi, there was no drop off in performance. You know, they went for Deeney and they stayed on top of him, and he didn't affect the game in any way. I look at Iwobi, you look at those feet. Now, I've got a hats off to Shovell's mate. I'm not going to have a pop at him. He wasn't effective as I think he could have been. You know, he needs to play with the conviction that Maitland-Niles is showing at the moment. I think there's a bit
Hold on. Sorry. Who's my mate? I'm confused.
The one you said earlier on, who said, tell that Welsh bloke not
Oh,
to have
sorry.
I'm
sorry. That seemed like 5 hours ago. Sorry. I forgot I even said that. Sorry.
So my hat's off to you, mate. I'd take it easy on him. But, you know, there were a couple of balls where on Iwobi's ability, he should be making. And you can see there's a kind of lack of conviction there. And he's caught in two minds. We need to really instill that confidence back in him. Now, how you do that, that's down to the manager. I don't know, but you know, he kept on working hard.
You know. Sorry to cut you in. Guys. I reckon that Iwobi, I reckon he needs a good summer. If he has a good summer away from us,
isn't he going to the World Cup? Isn't he going to the World Cup?
He's coming to IB for with me. I'm going to sort him right out.
But this is the thing. He needs to relax, doesn't he? He needs to relax on the pitch. And he needs, the one thing I'd like to see Iwobi doing is just give a first-time ball. You know? Just a couple of quick first-time balls. Find your man. Build the confidence. But
I've got to say that, you know, it's only like a couple of seasons ago when he first broke into the team, and his name was being chanted around the stadium, and he was seen as the next big thing, and as I say, it's hard to go from having not even potential, proven football skills, banging in goals for Nigeria, and then a couple of seasons later, he's rubbish. Get rid of him. Now, is it more to do with playing him too much, not having enough? Not having enough other quality players to take him out the firing line. He's still a young kid, and he's just been played. And even now, it's like, you can tell he's trying too hard. He's lacking confidence, but he keeps playing him. And it's like, get him out of the team for a bit, but who's going to replace him? That's the thing.
It is, isn't it? And it's the thing. You saw at the end of the Ostersons game, okay, he kept on trying, and he was so frustrated with himself when things didn't go his way. You can't deny the boy's ability. The kid has such good feet, okay? You can't deny the skill level. It's there. It's there on show.
How old is he? Is he 20?
21, 22?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at 22, I was a snotty-nosed little arsehole. I'm still a bit of an arsehole, but there you go. But we need to build that self-belief in him. And that's the one thing I take from that game was everything went well. He's keeping on working, and we just need to instill that confidence back in him to get the best out of him. Because if he does well, the club will do well. It's the domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with all that. So, Shovell, what was your thoughts on El Neni? I've put here, is El Neni the man to short-term or long-term solve our anchor role? For people who are not sure, that's a role. That's a thing from Championship Manager. Is the bloke who links the midfield to the centre backs? Because I love El Neni. I think he's brilliant. He's the kind of bloke that you'd love to be mates with, and then you go, by the way, I'm off to play for the Arsenal and has a great game. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pleasantly surprised a lot of people. You could say that in previous games he's played very safely. Does that make sense? In which I mean lots of short passes to the guy next to him, and I wouldn't say being invisible, but he's done all right.
He doesn't want to make mistakes in case he loses his slot.
Exactly, but exactly. However, the last couple of games, he's looked like he's come out of his shell. He's looked like, again, it's all about confidence, isn't it? The teams look confident. He's actually stood out. He wasn't, here's Elneny. He was like, wow, what a great game he had. I think he's easy to be viewed as not one of your automatic favourites. But yet, as I said, the last couple of games, I think he's really good. I think he's got he's a key squad player and could actually, given a role, be a potential key first team player. Is he that central defensive midfielder that we've all been aching for about the last 10 years? I'm not so sure. But he certainly he's proved he can do a job. I think he's proved a lot of doubters wrong, and I think there's still a lot more to see from the young man. Little cliche there to say it.
I've got a little point on this one.
Go on.
I might. It's a bit of a tactical bloody thing, right? I think when we're playing forward back and we've got him sitting in front, I kind of like that. But if we're playing three at the back, I don't see the point of him being there. Do you know what I mean? You know how nobody really loved Gilberto until we left, and then we realised, oh shit, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of
the season he left. He scored about 6 goals for us.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like he sort of, the player that sits in front of the back four and does the dirty work and does the covering.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier on about having, let the flair players. We need a couple of
do their bit.
Who just give me the ball, I'll win it, and then give it to you. Go and do your thing. I don't need you to be running back. I don't make a terror. Let me do that. And I think we've been missing that at the moment. I mean, when Coquelin came back in the team, and that really, he went from like, he's at Charlton, Francis, came in back in the Arsenal team, and was like, hold on a minute, who's this geezer? Started playing amazingly well and playing in that position what you're talking about. And I'm not actually sure why he then stopped and went out of the team and isn't with us anymore. But in my opinion, we've certainly missed that. And when we've got even squad players like Coquelin and Elneny, when there's someone who sits in, I think our defence potentially can be so shaky at times that it doesn't really matter whether there's 4, 3, or 7 at the back. We can be, in games gone, in recent games gone by, we've been dodgy, and whatever number defends, we need someone in the front of that defence who we've named it a lot of times, who can do that Vieira role. Do you know what I mean? That's what we miss, someone like that. And at the moment, Elneny's come in, he's done a really good job, and you've got to give credit where it's due.
The thing is, he's got the engine to get up and down, and his skill set kind of suits that pivot role just on the edge of the horseshoe that we play a lot, and it's that side of it. If you're playing three at the back, I think Omar Rizzo was on the other day, and he said it perfectly. If you're playing three at the back, you want your centre backs to push up, to pull teams out of position and to cause disruption there. And then if you're playing three at the back, Elneny's role is kind of redundant.
Yeah.
You kind of don't need it. Whereas if you've got, as you say, if you've got that 4 at the back, you can even play 2 deep-lying midfielders with Elneny because he's got such a good engine. He's up and down.
And he's literally up and down off of the floor quicker than any player I've seen. He'll slide in on his arse, get the ball, be up with the ball before the even player knows he's been tackled.
Yeah,
it's
and
fantastic.
He's got the best hair ever.
Oh, I love it. I want a wig. If I had hair, I'd have it like that. Right, James,
can I just ditto that remark? If I had hair, I'd have it like that. I'd just get in there. Talking about bald heads. I just got to say that point you made about Maitland-Niles earlier about he's played at left back he's started as central midfield. playing at left back, then you play him at right back. Really, at the age he has been chucked in, wow. I mean, we kind of took it for granted. What an amazing, we're talking about young players stepping up, being confident. My goodness, what a brilliant job he's done, and what a great job he did at right back on Sunday as well. So give someone a chance, what age, whatever. If they do a good job, you've got to keep them in the team, really.
What would you say is his best position, Shovell?
This is what I'm saying.
All of them.
In his first season, he's played in 3 different positions.
Yeah.
First season, he's looked accomplished in each one of them, really. But on Sunday, he looked really good at right back or right wing back, whatever you want to call it. I thought he looked really good, and I'd have no qualms if he's playing Thursday in front of Bellerin. Or it's good to give Bellerin some competition.
Yeah,
he needs it. And Maitland-Niles, like I say, if you played him in goal, he'd probably have saved that penalty as well.
He looks so calm, though, doesn't he? You look at him for a young kid. His composure, his composure on the ball, he's superb.
And speed, he's so fast, man.
He makes me want to scream. He's so relaxed. He came on. I was watching was it the under-19 or whatever World Cup final? He came on in that game. And it was as if he'd come on to training. And you're looking at him thinking, wow, just wow. And this is a young kid. We all know the issues he's had with his mum and stuff like that. Okay, and when he gets on that pitch, he doesn't let anything, hold him back. And what I like about him as well is, what we mentioned on the radio show, there's an honesty about him. Okay, he came out that Osterson's game and he'd had a torrid time. Worst game for the Arsenal. He looked way out of his depth. They tactically did him, Yeah. And yet he's come back in his next performance. Not a problem. I'm going to forget about that. I'm going to put that back. And he made a challenge on the edge of the pitch. Ball goes out to play, and somebody's talking. He's walking back. He's pointing at himself. My fault. Yeah, don't worry, my fault. And he looks like he takes responsibility. There's great conviction in everything he does.
He's got the bottle. I remember once I went to a night with Pierre-Emerick speaking, and Pierre-Emerick stood up and he was chatting away, and he said, I wasn't the best player in the world. He said I wasn't actually that great a player. He said, but the difference between me and like the fellas that I left behind, playing at Colchester and playing at non-league, is I had the bottle to go out and do it.
Yeah, he said that in the pod, didn't he?
And I think that's a bit when you get to the young fella like Maitland-Niles, he seems like he's got the composure and he seems like he's got the bottle. He's kind of got it in his head. Look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this, and it just doesn't seem to faze him. Nothing seems to faze him, does it?
Do you know what? You look at him and Iwobi at the moment, and you wish you could give Iwobi a bit of that attitude.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because you look at Maitland-Niles, and he'll make a mistake, and as soon as he's got up, he'll look at it, yeah, I'm sorry, I screwed up, and he'll forget about it. Right, I'm not going to do that again. It's in the past, let's go forward. Whereas there was a bit of play on Sunday where Iwobi tried threading a pass, didn't come off. He tries a similar pass a couple of minutes later. It didn't come off. The third pass, he's just passing back. And you had Ozil shouting at him at one point.
Yes,
and you could kind of see he's thinking, I don't want to make that mistake again. I don't want to make that mistake again.
Absolutely.
I wish you could sit down with him and say, Alex, don't worry about it. Fuck it. It's not important. You're going to make mistakes. That's the way of the world. Who cares?
Yeah.
Get over it and just show your quality. And Maitland-Niles has just got that in abundance. It's lovely to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, you go on. You're the guest. We want to hear you speak.
It's I mean, like I said earlier on, Iwobi, a couple of seasons ago, he was scoring great goals, creating. He looked like you give him the ball in halfway in our own field, and he ends up, in the box of the opposition's field, if he's beating a couple of players, looks phenomenal. He's still got that. He's still got, obviously, he can't just lose it. However, there's a confidence issue. There's we're talking about football. Has football changed? Well, the multimedia, going on Twitter, going, cheers, good game, and everyone going, get out of our club, you're rubbish. That's going to affect someone, especially a young person. I remember, I don't know, when it took Tony Adams a couple of seasons when all the opposition fans would call him a donkey, and every time he was like, Eeyore, Eeyore. Do you remember that?
Yep.
All of that. What a fantastic player he turned out to be. So I just think he needs to be removed from the firing line for a bit. I think you're right when you said about giving the summer, giving some time off, and let's see what happens next season. But I think that word potential. I think he's got a massive potential, but he just needs to. It's all about everything. Everything is all about confidence. And when you're confident, you don't even have to think about it. The pass, the run, who's next to you. It just all comes off. He's trying far too hard, and it's not coming off sometimes.
I don't know. Talking about the youth players, we've been talking and waxing lyrical about the about the wonderful AMN. Reece Nelson. We've already seen that Willock the Elder has had enough and buggered off to Benfica. Reece Nelson at the end of the game. The bit I've wrote here is, finally, did anyone see Reece Nelson throw his training bib on the floor once the third substitution had been made? And Guna Dub asks, do you think Arsene Wenger brought on Jack and not a kid like Nelson? Oh, I've cut out the middle bit. He says, why do you think he brought on Wilshere and not Nelson against Watford? Jace, what do you reckon? And we can't afford to let these fantastic young players get angry or get fed up and leave. We don't want them going on loan. These kind of players are ready for the first team substitutions. And when you're 3-0 up, you don't bring on Wilshere, do you? You bring on a player, a young player, to give them a bit of experience, confidence, and just show them that you a little bit of love.
I don't understand what's happening there. You look at, we lost Willock. There's plenty of players who he's given chances to who haven't made it. With Reece Nelson at the moment, we don't want to lose him. Obviously, we don't. He looks a real talent. He's had his ground in the season. How old is Reece Nelson? Is he 18? 17, 18?
I would pretend I already know. I'm going to say about 18, and I'll look down here and pretend I knew anyway.
So he's 18, yeah?
I don't know.
He's already played first-team football for the Arsenal in Europe this season.
18, yes.
Yeah. Okay, he's on the trajectory of coming through in a nice way. There is a balancing act, and when you're 18, you just want to play. So maybe he is a bit impatient. Maybe he thought he was shortchanged on Sunday. I wouldn't have seen any harm in putting him on instead of Jack. But you look at Jack at the moment, he's on a long road of recovery from injury. There's been injury after injury after injury. I think a lot of people look at a situation now and think it's all down to Arsene. I think Darren Burgess might have quite a bit to do with this, the guy from Aussie Football Rules. He's the performance director. And he may be asking Arsene, right, you look at Jack at the moment, let's give him some more minutes, let's keep him at a tempo. That might be happening. When you saw Welbeck come on, Welbeck's got to play himself back into form as well. He started off the season like a rocket, Welbeck did, and again the injuries are taking their toll. You've got to keep a lot of people happy. And it's an impossible juggling act for them. We don't know what's being said by Burgess, the performance director. Because all you see is what's on the TV screen. I've no doubt somebody would have had a chat with him later and said, look, your time is going to come, but it's not going to come all at once. There are so many factors coming into this. It's not as simple to say, oh, it's all Arsene, or it's all so-and-so, or he shouldn't do that. I want him to be frustrated he's not coming on. I think that's great. He wants to play. But again, there's a lot happening in the background which we are unaware of. So I wouldn't jump to conclusions on it.
What's your thoughts on this, Shovell?
I can't remember how long when Mustafi went off. When was that substitution with Wilshere? Do you remember? Was it near? Was it close?
Jack Wilshere, 78th minute. So there are 12 minutes to go.
And when did Mustafi go off?
Mustafi went off on 73.
So pretty. Because if my memory serves me right, Nelson was warming up quite a lot. So I think my guess, because I wasn't on the bench, so my guess is right. We're 3-0 up, 15 minutes to go. Reece going, you might be coming on, blah blah blah. Then the whole system change. Mustafi goes off injured. We don't want to lose, or don't even want to concede a goal, and potentially it was about shoring the team up and putting on a more of a, say, a less attacking minded. Reece Nelson, he would have gone right wing, right? He would have gone on the wing.
He would have played beyond the striker, probably somewhere along those three.
Exactly. So my guess is that he was meant to come on. The injury happened to Mustafi, and they've gone, do you know what, Jack? Just get there, do what you do, and make sure no one passes you. That's my guess. And with that comes a lot of frustration. It's still kind of, Wilshere had already played 90 minutes on the Thursday. It would have been great to see Reece get a run out. He's a very exciting, great prospect who we do not want to lose, like the fellow who's got to Portugal. But yeah, that's my guess. We've got a clean sheet. We're 3-0 up. Let's keep that rather with one of our centre halves going off injured than putting on another attacking player. That's my guess.
Well, Wenger did it in the AC Milan game with 2-0 up. He took off Ozil, put on Holding, and he took off El Neni and put on Chambers, stiffen it all up at the back. And personally, I think that's a good thing to do. So I agree. Anybody else want to say anything on that before I go to the next point?
No, I think it's covered.
Lovely. Okay. AC Milan's second leg. Gav, what do you reckon? What are your hopes? Can we do it?
We should do. I mean, there's no reason why we can't. Like I say, we've really got they've got to come out with the mindset to keep the ball and obviously not to bloody concede too early. Do you know what I mean? And that's more or less it. It's you shouldn't lose. A second leg once you're 2-0 up. There's no reason behind. It just shouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? And I think we saw the best of AC Milan in the first leg, especially like the beginning of the first half, and they weren't that scary. And we gave a lot of players a break in the week. So yeah, really, I mean, we've really got to just be looking at keeping a clean sheet the first half. We keep a clean sheet the first half. We keep hold of the ball for any number of time. We're always likely to score.
Someone agrees with you.
I think someone does. Yeah, you know what I mean? My words weren't that great then, I didn't think. Do you know what I mean?
That's that fire engine going the other way.
Yeah, he's had enough now. But like I say, it's far from being a dead rubber. Do you know what I mean? It's far from it. But like I say, from the way we performed in the away leg and playing away this year, we've been absolutely fucking toilet. Let's be honest. So if we win over there, there's no reason why we can't beat them at home. It's just got to be calm, cool heads. Really, that's just simple as that. They can go out with the right mindset.
I take it you agree, Jace.
Yeah, I don't think they've got the pace to bother us. Really, I think we've been bitten on the arse too many times this season. I think you're going to see a lot of hungry players want to prove their worth, and the heady days of beating Chelsea in the cup final in May are long gone. So they're gonna want to prove their worth, and I think that AC Milan's lack of pace is the biggest thing for us.
Lovely. Shovell, any final words on your expectations are? I
like what Gav just said. Nice, calm, cool heads. I don't think it'll be that. I've just got this, as I said earlier, I just think it's going to be a 3-3, edge of the seat. What is happening? Oh my God! Oh, that one. I just think. I think they've got nothing to lose. I think Gattuso's gone round their dressing room and bashed a few people up, and he's got them right revved up for this game, and I think they're going to come out and have a proper go, and it's going to be a bit of a nerve tingling European tie. But we've got to go through. We've got to go through and surprise everyone, because, like you said, our away form, as you said, pin toilet, and to go there and to win and not concede, it was amazing. Was amazing. But I just don't think it's over on Thursday. So get your seatbelts on, lads. I think we're in for a little ride, but we're going to go through.
Yeah, hopefully. While
roll out the red carpet, because the
red carpet's gonna
roll. Anyway,
that's one for the dad. Bit of blue for the dads.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know where that come from actually, but there you go.
What the carpet bit? I've never heard it before.
Oh yeah, that's an Arsenal song.
It's an old. I'm not sure what year. So I think it's probably one of the old FA Cup final songs, isn't it?
What? Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, in the 70s sometime.
Yeah, they used to play it. They used to play it before every game in the Woodbine years ago.
Yeah, and a few other places as well. 78 it was. I've just looked. 78. There you go.
Lovely. Well, I want to talk about the final bit of the running order. I want to talk about Pierre-Emerick and his recent comments. Start with you, Shovell. This from a regular, one of our best question senders, from Nicky Wilson. He says, after Pierre's recent comments saying he's broken and doesn't want to play anymore, should he be stripped of the captaincy? And I've added to that, he recently did an article saying his body is ruined by football and he's only 33, not been a regular for the last 2 whole seasons, 2 games last season, only 11 this season, so he has been broken since the age of 31, but he still managed 220 games for us. How do you feel about him and his comments, and should we take the captaincy off him? Not that I think the captaincy makes any difference nowadays, does it?
There's a couple of points on that. I mean, we were talking about Jack Wilshere, injuries, other players. You know, Per Mertesacker was one. I mean, Santi Cazorla again is another one. You know, you could say young men, but in Premiership football terms, it obviously takes its toll. So in the terms of Jack Wilshere, that comes up again. I think that, yeah, let's go there. Okay, so, how am I going to answer this?
Honestly.
Yeah, okay, so mental health, because that's what he's talking about, really. You know, when you've got a professional footballer, World Cup winner, German international, is it 70-odd games he's played with Germany, you know, captain of Arsenal football teams. But this isn't like, you know, Amstead Common, you know, some geezers. This is a proven, hardcore professional footballer who's a man mountain, you know, and has come out, absolutely opened his heart and said, you know what, I'm in a proper state here, you know, physically and mentally. I'm finding the pressure really, really, really tough. And I personally, I think that any man, and I mean particularly men, particularly sportsmen, who have the honesty and can open their heart and to say and to use their vulnerability as a strength, and to talk about their weakness in the realms of being honest, and in the realms of possibly reaching out to other people who are not anywhere near that professional standard, but in a similar situation physically and mentally, and have someone to sort of compare to or to look at, and to not feel alone. I think is a wonderful, honest, brave heart of a captain, and I don't think we should take the captaincy away from him. And I think we already know it's his last season. I think it speaks very highly of a man who can do that. And I'm not comparing myself to a World Cup winner or a captain of Arsenal, but I've also trod a similar route of sorting my life out in terms of admitting my weaknesses, looking at my addictive personalities, changing that, and to go there with yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, be really honest, and then go public with it. is a massive, massive thing. So I think he should be applauded and not have anything stripped. He should be, in fact, helped onto a platform and applauded.
That's superb. If I could, I'd stand up and applaud that brilliantly. That's fantastic. Jace, you've usually got important things to say about stuff like this. Take it you agree with everything Shovell said.
Absolutely. He's got 100+ Germany caps. Okay. The club captaincy role at the moment is more of an ambassadorial role. He's going to move into the academy next season. We know that. I think when you look at last season, he played 2 games. One of those was a cup final with a performance which was towering for a man who's not played all season.
Yeah,
well said.
For that performance alone and the way he made me feel after that game, yes, that contract's worth it. This season, it hasn't gone his way. But you look at his frame and you look at his mobility throughout his career, opposite ends of the scale to Santi Cazorla, but similar issues with mobility, etc., and athleticism. We know what he is, and as Shovell's just said, there's his honesty and his ability to get that out in the public. He's a leader in that dressing room for these guys. And yes, we've had a tough time this season, but him being around this club is worth his weight in gold. I saw an interview. There was a piece in him in the Times about he went to a synagogue to give a speech, etc. Obviously, with him being German, etc., there are certain issues around that. And the way he purveyed himself, the way he represented the club, on his ability as a footballer, we've had better footballers at the club. On his quality as a man, there's been no better man in my lifetime I can think of representing the Arsenal. So, as far as stripping him of the captaincy, not a chance. Not a chance in hell. It's an ambassadorial role now. We have captains on the pitch. The pitch is separate to what he does. I admire the guy and give him the plaudits he deserves because, as you said, Shovell, there are mental health issues around your general physical health as well. And for him to say what he said, I applaud him. I admire him.
Gav, do you want to add anything to any of that?
Well, I mean, as I say, Shovell and Jason both spoke brilliantly there. I don't, like I say, the way I'm not a big favour of the club captain not playing, not being the leader on the pitch. But I prefer it being Mertesacker than Arteta, who I didn't really think brought anything to the party. The fact that they're keeping Per on, next year, isn't it? He starts in the as one of the youth coaches.
He's the role actually is he's managing the academy.
Yeah,
we were told.
I think that's absolutely perfect for him because, like I say, I mean, you can, like I say, I mean, you can tell he loves the club, and he liked the club when he was a kid, and you see the pictures of him. As much as some of them come back and bite you on the arse, but you see the pictures of him as a kid with the Arsenal kit on and everything, and you can tell he loves being in London, and you can tell how much he loves the club. And you can tell how much everybody looks up to him, but you have to look up to him because his record is absolutely blinding. I mean, you're not going to get any player at our club at the moment who wouldn't swap careers with him. No one would swap careers with him. Do you know what I mean? He's done absolutely everything. So, like I say, there's no point in doing anything now. I'd love to see him get on the pitch on the last home game of the season, even if it's for the last 5 minutes, just to take his bow, because I think he well deserves it. And like I say, let's hopefully he does well in the youth academy and pushes that on even better than it's actually doing at the moment, because the youth academy is actually in a good position at the moment for the first time in bloody years. And like I say, let's go forwards next year with a captain on the pitch. Like I say, wish him all. You can't not wish Mertesacker all the very, very best. Especially, like I say, I mean, he's his wages, and when you talk about wages, his wages next year are going to be next to fucking nothing compared to what he's earning at the moment. Do you know what I mean? They're the wages of a youth, head of youth for Arsenal is nothing compared to what a first team player is. And the fact that he's put himself up for it, everybody at the club wants him. It just speaks a lot for the man. Do you know what I mean? He must have so much respect in the club. And like I say, you can't not wish him all the best in the world.
I just hope, guys, he's there when they lift the Europa League trophy. That would be the perfect ending.
Would you like him in a suit or to do a John Terry?
I want him in a suit. I don't want any of that nonsense. I want him in a suit. And I just don't understand how people can dislike Per Mertesacker. I look at him. He's affable. He's honest. You can tell. That Forest game. You could see the pain in his face coming off the pitch.
Yeah.
This is a guy who wants to do well for this club and who loves the club, and I love people like that. I just love that.
I agree with everything
wish him all the best, mate. That's it. Just wish him all the very best.
And of course, he's there's not many players who get their own song from the crowd as well, and he's certainly got one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Right, we're going to move. We've been doing an hour and 45. I know it seems longer.
Hold on. Hour and a half. You said I'm on OT. I'm on a bit of overtime. Double time and a half. What is
minimum wage.
I tell you what, Shovell, we'll double your wage on this.
Oh, thank you very much.
No problem.
2 tea bags. Thank you very much.
Right, we're going to go on to a few listeners' questions. We're going to start off with some Carpenter Out. He's one of our regulars, part of ABW, and he's the bloke who we listen to when it comes to fashion. You should see some of the shit he wears. My God. He says, one for Shovell. Who is your best friend in the music business and why? And also, who would you least like to be on tour with after an Arsenal loss?
Oh, cool. Hold on. So my best mate in the music business.
Yeah.
Well, probably that would be unbelievably the band members, so the other people in Mpeople. Very, very strangely, we used to go on holiday together. So we'd have like 50 weeks sort of touring, and then you'd have your 3 weeks and we'd go on holiday together with families and everything. So, unusually, in fact, I'm seeing the Mike Pickering and Paul Hurd on Friday. We're catching up. So we're family. We're still incredibly close. So,
what teams do they support?
Pickering's a massive Man City fan. Massive. Yeah. So I've known him long enough where I used to strut in the studio going, I'm the governor here. And now he's like, who's the daddy now? With a Manc accent, And Paul Hurd's a QPR fan. So
commiserations.
Yeah, that's where that one goes. So yeah, any time, they're my best mates in the music business. As well as a guy called Simon Dunmore as well, who owns Defected Records, who's another QPR fan, surprisingly. So big men, big, lovely, wonderful men. Go anywhere with them on tour, anytime. And what was the other question? Who would you
least like to be on tour with after an Arsenal loss?
After an Arsenal loss?
Supposed to be the Gallaghers, wouldn't it? They never shut up about football.
Yeah, probably Liam. Yeah, Liam Gallagher. Probably, yeah. I'd probably be getting it like morning, noon, and night. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anyone else. He was a Tottenham. I don't really hang about with. Oh, yeah, Jar Wobble, I suppose at the time. But that was another one. But let's go with that one. Liam Gallagher, Man City.
Okay. One for you, Jace, as quickly as you can, from Josh Robinson, 87. Is Kolasinac coming back into decent form? And who do you want out of Ospina and Cech in goal for the Europa League?
I think Kolasinac is coming back. He's always great going forward. Defensively, he's a big guy. It takes him time to turn, doesn't it? He's not as nimble going backwards, which when you're a big guy, it's always the same. It's his first year with us, so let's give him a bit of a break as well. I think the whole defence has had trouble this season. It's not just him. I think maybe he's been blamed for a bit more than he deserves. As far as keepers are concerned, I'd always pick Cech over Ospina, but I think Ospina will play.
Dave, the bin man, will be happy that you said that. All right, quick one for you, Gav, from Matt LR28. I think an LR28 is a type of battery for a watch, from memory. He says, have we turned the corner, or does everyone think that we are playing well, playing because they are having secret training sessions behind Wenger's back?
I don't think anybody at the club does anything behind his back, especially when it comes to the training and all that. From what you hear, nobody gets a word in at training apart from Wenger, so it definitely ain't that. There is the thing that we can often play better against the better teams and in the bigger competitions because the players are more up for it themselves as opposed to actually getting motivated by a manager who can't really motivate much anymore. So yeah, like I say, I think we've. I'm not saying we hit Watford at the right time, but it was probably the best time. You know, it's probably one of the better teams to be playing. And like I say, AC Milan. Like I say, you know, they had their good run, and they were well motivated, but you know, they just haven't got the class that we've got really. So I just think it's kind of a mixture. I think there's very, very much 50-50 on whether or not we're back to our best, and you know, whether or not we can put a decent run together. I still think there's going to be a few unfortunate disappointments between now and the end of the season, but you know, after losing 4 games, it's been bloody nice to win 2.
Yeah.
Very well put. Right, one for you, Shovell. If you need time to think about this, I've got a question. Can I just add an answer to the previous question? Because my mind went, oh yeah, hold on. You know, Manny from the Stone Roses and Primal Scream, bass player. Yeah, he's a big Man United fan, so he'd probably slap me all over the place every time they win or we lose. So yeah, I wouldn't like to wake up with him every Sunday. Well, not with him, but in the next room to him on Sunday mornings after we've had he wouldn't let me live that one down. So yeah, Manny would slip in there as well. He won't be happy today though, will he?
No, after your news, no, he won't. But,
send him a message.
No, listen, without you having a laugh, I might do Friday. Let's get Thursday out of the way first.
Okay, right. Question for you from Scott Tweed. If you need a minute to think about it, I've got a question for Jason straight after. It'll take him an hour to answer.
This seems like an open university, man. Go on. Start off 10, no conferring.
Scott says, which ex-Arsenal player or manager would you like to be stuck in a lift with, and what one question would you ask them? So maybe you can have one ex-player and one ex-manager. Okay,
so ex-player would be Rocky Rocastle.
Oh, yes.
If there was a choice.
Wonderful.
And the manager, did you say?
Yeah, if you want, yeah. And what questions would you ask them?
The manager would be Herbert Chapman. So I don't know why I've gone for 2 people who aren't here anymore, but I don't know. That's just me. I think a lot. I think a lot about death. There you go. In a good way. Yeah, they would be my 2 players. The question would be to Rocky Rocastle. Probably watch because he's from South East London, Brockley, obviously Ian Wright. Probably everyone knows the story, but kind of similar path. You know, I'm down the road, New Cross, Brockley. It's very close. So it'd probably be. I'd just love to. I don't know if I'd have one. I'd try and to give him one question and end up trying to nab him for about a 2.5 hour lunch. You know what I mean? And ask him boundless questions. What happened then? What about that? What about Mickey Thomas? All of that one. And Herbert Chapman would be what was it about him that he was kind of like when Arsene Wenger first burst on the scene and had all these incredible, well, to the British anyway, these incredible refreshing ideas, diet, new football. And Herbert Chapman in the 30s was already, he was that. And I would just like to ask how he got to them ideas in that time span, and where did he get them ideas from, and what was it about the Arsenal, and just chat about old school Arsenal and them gentlemen of a latter day gone by. I just love to hang about with him.
So really good answers. Good.
Thank you.
Right, one for Jace. He's from a cheeky monkey called Davy Boyd. He says, I can't remember if I've asked this before, but Jason's Twitter handle is Jason Davies 71. Now, is Jason actually 71, or was it the year he was born? He said, I've seen photos, and it suggests the former. Jace, what's your case for the defence?
I got no defence when it comes to Davy Boyd. I just leave him top bollocks as usual. Love you, Davy, you cheeky git. Mind you, I feel like I'm 71 of the recent losses.
Lovely, yeah, we all feel like that. Right, one for all of us, from Sri the Guna. He says, hello, boys. Who do you think you would be a good opponent for us in the next round of the Europa League? And he's put in brackets, this is the bloody... this isn't very good. He's put considering the tie to be more or less done. I think he's tweeting the nipples of fate there. So personally, I would avoid. I had to have anybody but Atletico Madrid. Shovell, who would you want?
Who's definitely left? Who's gone through? Can you just give me a couple?
I don't think we're going to know really till tomorrow, are we?
But that's what I mean. So,
well, you've got Atletico Madrid are 3-0 up against Lokomotiv Moscow, so they're out. Lyon are 1-0 up against the other Moscow. Salzburg are 2-1 up against Dortmund. Lazio are 2-2 with Kiev. Red Bull Leipzig are 2-1 against St. Petersburg. Marseille 3-1 against Bilbao, and Sporting Lisbon are 2-0 up against some team is unpronounceable.
Okay, so with that, there is all of that about I'll bring on Atletico Madrid. If we're going to win the cup, we've got to play them anyway. I'd rather just beat the easiest team on paper. So, possibly no disrespect to any Salzburg fans out there who may be listening, but I feel if they get through, maybe Salzburg, I think we'd have a good chance of beating them.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
And I'd like to, if we was on a sort of 7-game winning run and confidence, but we've won a couple of games. We're just in baby steps of confidence and getting it. Also, let's get Lacazette back. And I'd just like to get through this. Well, let's get through Thursday, then get through the next round, and it's just I would love to think we go on one of our 7-game near the end of the season runs and just start pulling it all together, surprise everyone, and do it unbelievably well.
Yeah, talking about when we get Lacazette back, people, when they normally listen, I usually start the show with a roundup of injuries. So I haven't done that for a while because I've been doing the hosting. But Monreal should be back any day. Lacazette should be 2 weeks. Bellerin 2 weeks. Mustafi 3 weeks. So hopefully they'll all be coming back into first team readiness for the latter stages. And Jace, who do you want? There's no Welsh teams left, so you're not there.
I look Salzburg all day long, okay, but I got to be honest with you, I'm not really scared of the Europa Cup. I think, most of these teams will give us time on the ball and we can play. But obviously, let's get Thursday, as Shovell said, let's get Thursday out the way first, get through. You would always take the easier run, okay, but I don't think you can take any team lightly at this part of it. But if people are going to give us time to play, I'm quite confident.
Oh, I'm just having a little chat with Kevin Campbell on Twitter. Apparently he scored 60 goals in a season. Yeah, and David Hillier supplied them all.
As a youth player?
Yeah, as a youth player. And David Hillier said he supplied every single one of them. I'm going to get them both on a podcast together.
Kevin Campbell scored 60 goals?
As a youth player, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done, Kev. Go on, son.
Yeah, he's very good. Very underestimated by a lot of Arsenal fans. But we'll come to that another time. Gav, who would you like in the next round? Obviously, you don't want any teams that are too hard to say. So Lazio, can you say Lazio or Lyon? They're only 4 or 5 letters. You can't fuck that up.
No, exactly. No, I've got the scores in front of me. And
look at you, all organised. Fucking hell.
Well, I knew this question was coming up, mate. I'm not fucking stupid.
Hey,
you know what I mean? I'm not as silly as you look.
You'll never be that silly.
Well, I mean, obviously, Atletico look like they're going to beat Lokomotiv with us. Right, Sporting should go through. Marseille should go through. Don't want them. Zenit Leipzig, whoever wins that would be a nice tie for us. I don't really want either Kiev or Lazio. Thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? If we end up with Lazio, half the ground will be full up with West Ham supporters.
Like Lazio, Atletico Madrid next round. That's what them two to play each other. That'd be good for us.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Be very good. I don't think it's particularly all over between Salzburg and Dortmund. Lyon probably likely to go through. I mean, the only one I've got a chance to get to, seeing as I plead the Dennis Bergkamp when it comes to the old aeroplanes, would be Lyon. Lyon would be definitely the best piss up, probably, out of all of it, and get the most people over there. So, I'll go for Lyon.
Lovely. It'd be nice for Lacazette as well. Maybe steal Nabil Fekir. That'd be lovely as well. On Salzburg against Dortmund. Salzburg haven't lost at home since 2014, I think.
Yeah,
wow.
They play fucking postmen and butchers most weeks, don't they?
I was.
Oh Jesus! Where you knew it was coming.
I thought you said Pat Butcher. Then I was like,
I wouldn't be surprised. She'll get a gaming goal. Okay, then we've done that one. We've already kind of talked about the Aaron Ramsey one. Here we go. This is from Jove82. He's tweaking the nipples of fate here. He says, the question of all questions, would you rather see us win the Europa League, which allows Wenger to see out his contract, or go out, win nothing, and another manager comes in next season, Mr. Shovell?
Win.
Yeah.
I don't care what comes after. Arsenal winning. It's all about Arsenal winning. So, Arsenal winning a European Cup, like beating all them teams, going to Europe and lifting the silverware. And of course, whatever happens after that, Wenger. I mean, that's my answer. Yeah, never, ever, ever, unless it would be like if Arsenal win, Tottenham win the Champions League or something. But apart from that, Arsenal always have to win.
Right, one for you, Jace, from Phil Paps. Who do you see as a replacement for Santi Cazorla next season?
I don't. What's the point? Again, with Cazorla, a very unique skill set. You don't pick those up that often. It's more about the system and bringing in players who are going to be durable, who can play next man up football. We need to find a system where if Aaron Ramsey or Jack Wilshere or whoever's playing are injured, somebody comes in and you don't get a drop-off in performance. We just fill that space and play these systems, and so everybody knows what they're doing.
Adding on to the question that I just asked Shovel, Graham J. Hawke says, do you think Wenger would stay to the end of his contract if we do win the Europa League next season?
Don't know. Really, I've given up.
Does anybody know?
Thinking about it.
Does anybody have an opinion?
Nobody. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if Wenger knows right now. But he constantly says about, I've always seen out my contracts. I think we all know he's a very stubborn man. You could say very loyal man as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just said earlier with these two, with Josh Kroenke being here this season, with the two, Sven and Raul, something's afoot. I feel that there is change. I also feel that because of that, Wenger's been a bit miffed. I think that, there was that comment about Sven about, if there were some players in the third division in Germany I don't know about, then he may be able to help. It was something like that. Yeah, it was very. I mean, you know Wenger. He chooses his answers very carefully on every word. He knew that he was a man miffed, and I think he's been hurting. I think he's been feeling disrespected, and things are changing for the first time, you could say, in 20 odd years, without him saying so. And I think potentially things could end in this summer. But I think that he would like to cling on till the end of his contract. I think.
Yeah, I think You're probably right there. He's he hasn't got much outside of football, especially outside of.
No, well, that's it. That's it.
I think they need to set. I think the only way we're going to get rid of him, right, is if they literally find him someone else to work for. I think that's what they've got to do. I think behind the scenes, what they've actually got to do is say to him, they've actually got to find him.
Sorry, I just saw him in Open All Hours or something. Behind that.
No, do you know?
Yes.
I mean, like I say, PSG's been rumoured.
No, I understand.
The French national job's been rumoured. I think they're literally at the point now where they've got to line him. They've got to sort of behind the scenes if they seriously do want to get rid of him, which they should do respectfully. Is they've literally got to line him up with another job, and they've got to turn around and say, look, he's got a good contract here and he's got a long contract here, and we feel it's in the best interest of everybody. Do you know what I mean? But he's got to go.
But also for me, I think at the very least, the writing is massively and clearly on the wall. At the very least, right?
Oh, he's not going to get another contract.
No, exactly. So the question is, I know obviously none of us here are kind of privy to the ballroom. Yes, he's going, whether it's another seat or this summer. Yes, he's going. Who's coming in? That's that's a massive, like that United with Ferguson. It's massive for us to get as prepared and ready as we like. It would be a whole new way of being. It's
we're more ready than we've ever been, though.
Listen,
over the last 5 years, with the new two fellas coming in at the back, and with Mertesacker going into the youth, I think we're more ready and prepared for life after. Because, like I say, I mean, it's a big power vacuum.
Exactly.
Like I say, as David Dean once said, when George Graham departed, he said, never, ever will a manager at this club wield so much power as what George did. And
he was wrong there, wasn't he?
Ended up is with Wenger, who's ended up with more power.
Yeah, that was down to Dean's misbehaviour, and let's be honest, you're looking at this now. We heard a rumour from one of the guys, from somebody within the club, that Arsene wanted to go in the summer. He actually wanted to leave in the summer. And you can't tell me that a man of his pride and his attitude isn't looking at those stadiums on Sunday and, recently with empty seats and so forth and thinking, this is good. He must be in pain at the moment. And I just think things have got stale with him. And a new challenge would be good for us and it would be good for him.
Good for him, yeah. No,
yeah, I agree.
Look, you can't take away his achievements of this club. I know it's that, you yearn for change, but I just want him to do well, and I want us to do better. Do you know what I mean?
I think what we need to do then is somebody set up a GoFundMe to do a remake of Hello, Hello, and then Wenger can be the policeman in Hello, Hello.
I tell you, I think he'd probably do it well as well.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, just to say, I think, bottom line, I think all of us, this Wenger in, Wenger out. I think it would just be wonderful that when he does, he leaves with a great round of applause, and as much, even those who want him out, even those go, well, you know what? Now he's gone, or now he's definitely going. Yeah, he did so much for us, and I'm going to give him a round of applause, and I'm going to go to his, end of outside Islington Town, or if that happens. I mean, he's our longest-serving, successful manager. He needs to be sent off in a most respectful, grateful, wonderful way, in my opinion. I think.
No, I'm with you on that one, and like I say, that's why I think if the best thing for the club and for Wenger right now is for them to make the decision after Thursday. I think we've got 2 weeks without a game, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the decision has got to be made literally Friday, Saturday. It's got to be made Friday, Saturday. If he's staying, don't say anything. If he's going, let's get the decision out Thursday, Friday. Hopefully we win Thursday, right? get the decision out there in the public Friday, Saturday, right? Let's all get fucking behind the team for the rest of the season. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's all, show him some appreciation. Show the players that we're all behind them, and hopefully, go on and do as best as we can in Europe. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, I think he deserves as much as it's been a bit of a long, stale, drawn out him leaving. I think a 11 game potentially sort of goodbye could be good for everybody. Could be good for him. Could be good for us. Gives us enough time to tap up some managers. Gives other clubs enough time to tap him up. I think it would be the right thing to do to make him, if he is going, get it out in the public. After we win, hopefully Thursday.
Yeah. Well, we're approaching 2 hours. No, we've done 2 hours and 10 minutes, gents. We need to speed this up a bit. Although we could easily do 5-hour shows every week. 2 final questions. One to you, Jace, from John West. He says, "Who's got the better bromance, you and Ramsey, or Chris and Lacazette?"
Oh, I think it's a dead heat. The big thing about Aaron Ramsey, he's Welsh as well.
Is he? I hadn't noticed. You should mention it more often.
I know, shocker. But look, come on. How am I not going to love a guy who's got 50-plus goals, 50-plus assists for the Arsenal, who's scored winning goals in 2 cup finals, and then not just represents the club with pride, but represents his country with pride and made a semi-final of the European Championships. I effing love Aaron Ramsey.
Look at you censoring yourself. Did you feel the same way about Reece Wilmot and Peter Nicholas?
No, I didn't really know.
Hello, here comes the excuses.
And Reece Wilmot, I'm sorry, I loved him a bit, but he never made it, so,
Okay, right,
difficult.
Final question from James.
I did love John Hartson, though.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that's more recent, wasn't it? Yeah. Final question from James Howson to you, Shovell. He says, "In the past, Wenger has had Arsenal playing with tactically sound, well-drilled system, as well as nonsense, as well as improving players that are at the club. Yet in recent times, it seems the players don't understand his tactics and he isn't improving players anymore. What's changed? Has he lost motivation?"
No, I think everything else has changed, and possibly Arsenal hasn't changed enough. There's like we were talking about earlier on, compared to music, when you asked me that question, we've gone, I remember hanging about with DJs who had these massive boxes with vinyl in, and now they take this little key in their pocket, and plug it in, and that there isn't anything. So there's been this everything's changed, and I'm not sure. I think everyone's caught up with Arsenal, and quite a few clubs have surpassed him now. And I think that he's in a bit of shock, to be honest. I think he's, for the first time in his life, in a football way, he's not sure what way to turn. That's what it appears. And everything he's tried, maybe, at the end of last season, going to 3 at the back, which kind of helped us limp through to the end of for us, limp through, helped. But this season, it's like, well, I've done that. I don't know what else to do. I think he's run out of fresh ideas. And when you think of how long he's been in football, how long he's been at Arsenal, and how old he is, it's not that surprising, really. And this is what I'm saying. I think, it's time for some fresh approach, fresh idea. It's like anything, any business, any successful business, any successful relationship, playing an instrument, driving a car. You need to keep changing. You need to keep thinking of things differently. Otherwise, people pass you by. People who were behind you a few years ago pass you by, and at a certain time, the energy that you need to constantly keep that change going. Be aware. As you get older, whether you like it or not, you can't do that anymore. And I just think we are at that stage with Arsenal. God bless the man, but I think it's time for him to move. I think he peaked, and we need someone who's coming up to their peak now.
Superb answer. Well, a quick thank you to people who sent in questions we didn't have time for. Neil McKeown, AUBXLLER. That's not even a bloody word. The Normal Gooner, Avuta Ozil, Schwinn, Argon Wenser, and Andrew Arsenal. And I think there might have been a few others that I missed. Right, quickly move on to predictions. Thursday, AC Milan, 8:05 at the Emirates. It's on live on BT Sport 2, or maybe you have to get yourself a stream because those fuckers rip us all off when it comes to subscriptions. I'm going 1-1 Ramsey. Shovell, you can have the listener's prediction.
I'm going 3-3.
Oh, you were serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm thinking it's going to be all over edge of the seat stuff. It'll be 3-3. That's
Come on.
It'll be them.
I'll just put them.
It's going to be full on. It'll be. I don't know who plays. He missed a lot of chances. That geezer who plays up front for them. Yeah, that's as close as I've done my research. You can tell.
You were going to say something as well. What else were you going to say?
Oh yeah, I was going to say just there was a tweet going on about at the Emirates about getting the North Bank or one of the ends behind it. You know, well probably the North Bank as you know, pack it out with geezers who people, fans, ladies, men who want to sing, who pack it out. We say make it an end. You know, you talk about Dortmund with their yellow wall. You know, let's. You know, we had such an atmosphere. Let's get the atmosphere back. If you want to sing in end, I know it's kind of there, but let's try and do some things. Let's not stop playing Elvis and start playing good old Arsenal and things. Let's get some Arsenal back in there, get a massive atmosphere going, and that'll improve the atmosphere, improve the players, and it'd be good to get in the ground and see 60,000 with about 50-odd thousand Arsenal roaring red and white, cheering the team on.
Definitely, that would be brilliant. Jace, what's your prediction?
3-0 to the Arsenal.
Oh, fucking behave. Go on.
I genuinely don't think they've got the pace. And that's the big thing for me. Danny Welbeck.
Oh, now you are fucking off on one.
Jesus,
have a bet. You've got to get down William Mills with that one. Have a bet.
A pounder there, boys. I'm tight and Welsh.
Gav, you can do it for the guests.
Well, I think it's going to be 3-1, but again, I think they're going to score first. I do think it ain't going to be as straightforward as it should be.
So, do you want someone unpronounceable?
So I'll go for 3-1, and I'll go for one of their centre backs from a corner.
TVs. Lovely. Right, the next bit we move on to is people call it shout outs, but I call it a gentleman's nod because that's my generation.
Can I just say I've just moved into treble time now.
Oh no!
I've got from time and a half to double bubble to trebles now. I'm like, I'm gonna be coining it in next week when the weight.
Well, I tell you what, I bet you wish you was a plumber now, mate. That's the money if you was a plumber right now.
I tell you what, when it was snowing a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'll get me white van back out.
Shovell, who would you like to say hello to? And if you want to have their, it'd be a person or their Twitter account or just your cat or anything you want.
Oh, that's a mad one. I'll say hello to me dad. There you go.
Oh, jolly good. Jace, who you want to say hello to?
One to Shovel's mate who told me to lay off Iwobi.
Leon, his name is.
Leon, all right, fella. How are you, pal? I laid off him. And let's go the Walrus on the Hedgehog at Walrus_Hedgehog. Top man.
Oh, excellent. Gav?
Well, I think it's an absolute crying shame that we've been sitting here talking for 2 hours and we ain't been talking about my little shops once. So I'd like to give a big shout out to anybody who likes replica shirts, all the old Adidas and the old Nike stuff, and anybody who likes signed stuff by Henry and Wrighty and Bergkamp and people like that. If you'd like to visit www.thearsenalshirts.com and have a look and tell me what you're going to be
sponsoring the podcast for the next few weeks, aren't you? But we're going to have to sort something out with that, with what we're going to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat later. We'll have a chat in a week because I know the time's getting on. But we'll do something hopefully for the next podcast. And
top man, Gav. Top man, brother.
Either give something away or give like a money off coupon for the listeners of the pod. Something like that.
So as usual, we won't make any shirts. we won't make anything out of it, and it's just to see how it goes for you. And as long as it works out for everybody else, then we're always happy.
I'll sort you out when you do your end of season thing.
Oh, that's what we want
for your charity. I'll give you something nice.
Charity? We don't do fucking charity. Them cunts are giving me nothing fucking ever. I'm using the same bloody chair I've had since '91. Fuckers. Fuck them. Unless they're a good one, then don't fuck them. My gentleman's nod's going to go to a couple of people. It's going to go to Mike, I think it's Feinberg. I can never remember his bloody surname. From the Gooners in USA podcast. He was 60 yesterday. So happy birthday, you fat git. And also Kenny Ken, who is of my generation. He's really good. He was on with Tom and Drew last week. And I really like what he has to say, even though his beard was driving his microphone mental. Yeah, so happy birthday to you too. And I think that's it. We're all done.
Hold up, yeah.
What you done?
This is a quote from Frank de Boer tonight, okay?
Yes.
Mourinho might say I'm the worst manager in Premier League history, but tonight he's a manager who spent nearly £1 billion in his career, and his team plays like that.
Well, what a way to end the show. So thank you very much, Gav, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you very much, Jace. You lyrical wizard there.
Always a pleasure. It's been a top one tonight. Enjoyed.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Shovell. You have instantly become a favourite with us. So we'd love to get you back. Maybe on a more regular basis if you're up for it.
It'd take me about 3 months to get. I've never spent with 2.5 hours non-stop, apart from when I had a police interview. But that's a completely different story.
We've all been there.
But listen, seriously. It's good to have a sort of Arsenal therapy session and get it all out in the open and talk. But listen, you know what? Up the Arsenal. Oh,
good Shovell.
This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. Nanu, you cheeky monkey bitches. Here's a little bit of shenanigans from before the podcast started.
Do you know what? Let's dedicate this show to the mums.
Yes, it was Mother's Day.
Yeah. Let's dedicate the show so we can swear like troopers. They brought us up terribly. God bless them. Right,
that's now 20 minutes. We're gonna start. Right, I'm gonna try not to fuck up the intro. Right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Oh, hi, cheeky monkeys. This is an Arsenal Oh, bollocks. I've done it the wrong way around, haven't I? And here's some more shenanigans after the podcast ended. Nanu, you cheeky monkey bitches. All right, there we go. Thank you very much.
I'll tell you what, okay?
Yeah.
It's the first time I get to say to somebody, Shovell, you've been a rock star. And you actually are a rock star.
That was a quality chat. You could just
I enjoyed that.
Like I said, I've done podcasts before, and it started sort of like been a bit of a mixed bunch and all that malarkey. It's kind of like I said it in the chat on the Skype. The chemistry just felt fucking really good tonight.
Oh, that's good.
The chemistry of everybody chatting, and even when we did interrupt each other, it was all nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was good. Listen, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm grateful for being asked and have a talk about the Arsenal anytime. And when you're ready, I'm ready. Maybe after we've won the European Cup.
Thanks for coming on. You were superb.
You're brilliant.
Big pleasure. Big pleasure.
You're a natural talker as well, and you've got full of. I bet you, if we let you just go off on your own, you'd be talking for hours about brilliant stuff.
Oh, mate, I've got. Sometimes I go, I can't actually tell. I can't say that. Can I say that?
Mate, you can say whatever you want. It comes across.
It's not me. It's the person who I'm going to be mentioning in the story as well. So that's the only. But any time I pause, that's what that was all about.
Well, we don't have any money, so no one can sue us. So fuck it.
But listen, seriously, thanks a lot, lads, and good luck with everything. And you know where I am.
Yeah.
Right, top man. Cheers, Shovell.
Mate.
Lots of love to you and yours. Right. See you, fellas.
And you, mate. Take care, mate.
Bye. Bless you.
All the best.
Tell our guys.
What a top man.
I told you, didn't I?
Superb. You'll be milking that one for years, won't you? Go, I got you Shovell on.